I'm going to show you where death actually starts from, and it's not your heart. It's actually from your legs. And if you have tight calves or Achilles tendinitis or leg cramps at night, this is for you. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I am a posture specialist, and this video is going to be all about the shocking truth about your Achilles tendon and how it affects your whole body, especially your spine and your brain. Now, last time we spoke about the Achilles tendon, I told you about the calf muscles, and soleus, and what they do, and how they attach into that Achilles tendon. And if you haven't seen that video, go watch it first, because it will make sense of this one. So part 2. Let's get started. Okay, so now that you know that the gastroc and soleus muscles attach into the Achilles tendon, you can see here the Achilles tendon right at the bottom of the heel, just behind the heel, right? So when you shorten the Achilles tendon, what happens to the calf muscles? They get put on stretch. So you can see here, my little model has really short calves. This is an extreme example of what happens to someone who has really tight calves. You can see the gastroc and soleus muscle are now in a shortened position. And this is a problem because when you try to lengthen them, it doesn't work. The muscle fibers can't slide past each other. It's almost like trying to stretch a piece of string. You can see here with my model, when I try to stretch it, it just stays the same length. That's because the fibers can't slide past each other. And that's what happens to these two muscles in your lower leg. If they stay in that shortened position for too long, then they stop working. They can't contract anymore. They become paralyzed. Now, this is bad news because you can't walk without those two muscles working. But it gets worse because the tightness in the calf muscles pulls on the back of your heel through that Achilles tendon, which can cause a lot of problems, including Achilles tendon. So why would you want to shorten your Achilles tendon anyway? Well, this is what happens in daily life. When you're sitting for long periods of time with your heels down, you're shortening your Achilles tendon. Or if you're standing up but with your weight in your heels, that also puts a stretch on your Achilles tendon. So you can see when he stands up, my little model has his weight in his heels, and you can see the Achilles tendon starting to lengthen. And when you're standing for a long time or walking for a long time, that can create a problem. But it gets worse because what happens when you're redoing activities that involve repetitive stress on the Achilles tendon, such as running or jumping or dancing, anything where you're stressing that tendon over and over again, you're causing microscopic tears in that Achilles tendon. And that's why people who do a lot of running or jumping or dancing often suffer from Achilles tendinitis, which is painful. And you can see with my model, when he tries to walk, it's very painful. But it gets worse than that because when you start getting tiny tears in your Achilles tendon, it creates inflammation. And that inflammation spreads up the back of your leg, right behind the calf muscles. So it's right there behind the calf muscles, and it starts creating pressure on the nerve that runs down the back of your leg called the sciatic nerve. And the sciatic nerve branches off into all sorts of other nerves that go into your foot and your toes and everywhere else. But when that nerve is compressed, it causes all sorts of problems, including low back pain. So you can see here, when I press on this model's sciatic nerve, you can see he has pain all the way down into his leg. So when that sciatic nerve is being compressed by inflammation from your Achilles tendon, guess what? Your low back hurts. But it gets worse than that because the sciatic nerve also goes into your glute muscles. And when that sciatic nerve is inflamed and it's going into the glute muscles, it causes problems in your pelvis. So your pelvis becomes unstable. And if your pelvis isn't stable, guess what? Your spine isn't stable either. So it starts creating problems all the way up through your torso. You can see this model is completely rounding forward because his pelvis is so loose and unstable. So if your pelvis is unstable, your spine is unstable and you have low back pain. But it gets worse than that because the sacral nerve also goes into your hamstring muscles, which run all the way from your pelvis down into your knee. And when those hamstring muscles are affected by this nerve problem, you can see that the leg is now completely bent. It's called hamstring tightness. So you can see here, my model has really tight hamstrings. And when you have tight hamstrings, guess what? Your spine is completely rounded forward. So when you have tight hamstrings, you can't stand up straight anymore. You're stuck in this forward position. But it gets worse than that because the sciatic nerve also goes into the adductor muscles on the inside of your thigh. And when those muscles are affected, it starts creating more instability in your pelvis. So your pelvis is now completely wobbling all over the place. It's completely unstable! But it gets worse than that, because the sciatic nerve also goes into the quads, the large muscle group at the front of your thigh. And when that sciatic nerve is compressed, it starts to affect the function of the quad muscles. So you can see when I'm pressing on this model's quads, he can't extend his knee. The quads are supposed to extend the knee, but he can't do it. He's got knee pain. But it gets worse, because when your quads aren't working properly, guess what? You can't walk properly anymore. You might even limp because you're putting all your weight on one leg. But it gets worse than that because when your quads aren't working properly, it starts affecting the stability of your whole leg. And you can see here when I let go of this model's leg, it collapses completely. So he has no control over that leg at all because the quad muscles are so weak. But it gets worse than that because when your quads are affected, it starts creating more problems in your pelvis, making it even more unstable. And finally, it gets worse than that because the sciatic nerve goes into your glute muscles, your butt muscles. And when those muscles are affected, you have what's called glute weakness. And you can see with my model, when I take away his support, his pelvis completely collapses. He can't stand up at all because his butt muscles are weak. So as you can see, when your Achilles tendon is compromised, it creates all sorts of problems. Not just in your lower leg and your foot, but all the way up through your torso into your spine. It can even affect your brain because you might have all sorts of balance problems, dizziness, even double vision. That's how widespread the problems are when you have Achilles tendinitis or tight calves or leg cramps at night. But don't worry, because there is a solution. There's something you can do about this. Now, I can't possibly fit everything into this video. It's already too long. But I can tell you the most important thing, which is you need to lengthen your calves. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. It's very simple. All you need is a doorway and a broomstick or anything like that, even a mop handle or anything that you can hold on to. So find yourself a doorway, walk up to it, hold on to the top of the door frame, and lean forward slowly until you feel a big stretch in your calves. Hold that stretch for 30 seconds, breathing deeply and calmly the whole time. And then rest for 30 seconds and then repeat 3 times. Do that 3 times and you will notice your calves instantly start lengthening and relaxing and you won't have that uncomfortable feeling anymore. Now, for the full routine on how to fix this problem, you're going to have to watch my free training on the link below. I can't put it in this video because it's just too long. But when you watch that training, you're going to discover how to lengthen your calves so that you never have this problem ever again. And I'm also going to show you how to do it properly so that it actually works. Because if you just keep doing what you're doing, you're just going to keep getting worse and worse and worse. So please click the link below and watch my free training and then put all this information into practice and notice how your low back starts feeling better and better and better. And if you'd like to ask me a personal question, then book a call with me on my website. I love helping people just like you. So if you're serious about fixing your spine for good, then click the link below and let's talk soon. Hey, if you're benefiting from any of my content, I would love to hear about your success story. Please share it in the link down below.